Blog Talk Radio.
From the blog out there in Dallas, Texas, it's Screen Divisions Radio coming at ya.
If you ask me which I prefer, science fiction or fantasy, my answer may or may not surprise you. Fantasy. Give me the meadows, the forests, the wonder, the spirit of adventure, man. With maybe a hint of magic. Well, anyway, Ninja Scroll has the woods, it has the trees, and it also has a lot of magic. And to me, that's the pieces you want to make an immersible, interesting action-adventure. Well, Jubei Kimogami is our lead man, and he is arguably the most dry a hero you could ever want, at least to me. He's skilled, of course, but his exterior tends to be more dismissive, if anything, although deep inside his character lies the heart of a true warrior. When his exterior is careless and even self-centered, his interior is a selfless, passionate individual. His exterior does not seem to be worried about the affairs of others, until someone entrusts him with a special stone. He has a job now, and so we do see his disposition change slightly. His sense of honor and integrity glows within him, and he becomes more pressed to complete the task he is given. After all, the stone was given to him by a dying, half-man, half-beast creature. Things get stranger. When he finally does find what he is seeking, the Light Maiden, he's supposed to give the stone to this lady. But what if she doesn't know she's the Light Maiden? What if this dragon stone keeps attracting weirdo, creepy, vile ninjas from rival clans looking to obtain the stone themselves? Then what? Well, 13 episodes doesn't quite seem like enough time to really make this work for me. The show has a beautiful, well-animated gloss over it. The story contains some interesting side quests, quote-unquote, during the later episodes, but somehow seems rushed after the finale. Or I guess after watching the finale. Maybe it's the last couple of episodes themselves. Maybe I'm just hard to satisfy. One thing I've learned watching anime series like this, it's usually a bit of both. Now, there are some really cool things about Ninja Scroll, especially some of the ninjas from the rival clans, the Kimon and the Haruhu clan or something like that. A lot of interesting things that goes on during this series, including the I guess the leaders, quote unquote, of the two clans. And what happens to the two heads of the clans at the very end of the series is the most bizarre I guess there's some sort of metaphorical, symbolic thing going on that just went over my little head, you know. And I just chalked it up to it being very, very anime. You know, sometimes you know how there be you'll get that pseudo intellectual vibe in certain anime where there's the question of freedom versus order, whether you should be free to do what you want or whether you should grow up in a society where people tell you what to do and you're supposed to like it, or the question of destiny like we get here in Ninja Scroll, or fate. Is it your destiny to do something? Are you fated to do something, or are you doing it because you choose to do it? And it's nobody's, it's not a predetermined sequence of events, or it hasn't been predetermined that you're going to do something. You're choosing of your own free will to do it. And I think that's the big thing here in Ninja Scroll with the I guess the lead heroine or female hero in Shigure. And you just heard Shigure's theme. But yeah, man, it's got some cool things going. There's a lot of interesting sort of characteristics they have on some of the ninjas. There's a crystal guy that literally tries to, or he doesn't try to, he rapes another character who appears to be a cactus woman or a tree woman, a tree demon or something to that effect, and she is sexually molested by the crystal demon man. So I thought that was very disturbing, frankly. And the sad thing is, and I'm not saying that it's a detriment to the show. It's sort of one of those where it's just like, why is it in here? Like, I understand that certain characters have their quirks, and to sort of flesh out characters, you have them do certain things where you'll be like, oh, okay, that seems like something that character would do. But this particular instance, both of the characters were essentially throwaways, quote unquote, wherein they were either going to be killed or written off and never dealt with ever again, which was the case, one or the other. And so for us to get that scene, it was a little like, whoa, man, you guys really wanted to have this molestation scene in your series. So, okay, very anime, as the people on Fast Karate would say it. They really wanted to be anime with that. And yeah, they definitely went there with that. Not to get too deep, but I do think that is always an interesting thing to argue about, destiny versus a free will, that sort of thing. And Jubei is the perfect character. Jubei embodies everything about, I would say, the common man, or the general, I guess, perception, or I guess idea of destiny versus free will, which is you are freely choosing what you want to do. And Jubei sort of just walks around, and he's got this whole whatever happens attitude. But then you've got someone like Shigure who's grown up in a sort of a closed off town, and she's bored, and the people she's like I guess she's like the villager head's daughter, so she's basically like the princess of a village, essentially. And so they protect her, and they kind of slack off, and she's bored. Well, anyway, something happens which shakes up her little world, and she becomes an adventurer along with Jubei Kimogami and two other characters, an old man and sort of this, young adult wandering thief kid who is the comedy relief. And it's an interesting 6 or 7 episodes. You get a lot of interesting stories. One in particular, Jubei and Shigure, I should say, comes across a man who basically has trained his entire life with swords, and he is so good with swords, but the reason he's so good with sword fighting is because he is trying to find someone who is good enough at sword fighting that it compels the parasite living inside of his sternum or waist to pop out and attack them, therefore giving him the time to attempt to chop off its neck so he can finally be rid of the parasite, which I thought was bizarre. I'm like, wow, that's freaking weird. I'm not sure how original that is, but at the time I was like, man, that is one of the cooler parasite stories I've heard of. I'm sure it's knowing anime, when something like that comes up, it's probably in a dozen other shows. But to the show's credit, it is that particular story I thought was pulled off fairly well. I was trying to think of another example. One example of a character that kind of made me squirm and wince the entire time that they were on the screen was of a character who was a man. He was animated or drawn as a fat, stout, had, what do you call those, puffy tails or pigtails, like a schoolgirl. He had pigtails. He had a little bun on top of his head, and he's dressed basically like a little schoolgirl, except he's a fat, stout guy. And he's got it, what was his voice? His voice was like, "Hey, Shrine Maiden, I finally found you." Ooh, and he had this voice where it was just like, oh my God, either he dies or you guys write him off, please. And they sort of managed to make his character have a bit of redeeming qualities to him. It was just like, oh man, he went ahead and did that, huh? Well then, all right, then I can sort of at least sympathize with his character a little bit. But an example of something that wasn't all that great in Ninja Scroll in terms of characters. The overall storyline, the plot from beginning to end, was pretty standard run-of-the-mill, I would say, action-adventure. Someone trying to find themselves in a sort of a chaotic world. Ninja Scroll's story in particular, you've got Shigure, who is forced out of her comfort zone, having to sort of figure out why all these things are happening to her, and she's got Jubei as sort of her guardian. And while Jubei is definitely the superhero, quote unquote, the hero of the story in terms of the guy basically going around kicking everybody's butt, you got to give Shigure the protagonist title, because it is ultimately her who goes through the struggle and comes out a different person because of it. Her character is significantly changed by what she goes through, whereas Jubei is sort of the same even at the end of the episode. You know what I mean? So it's got some interesting high notes, but it's pretty standard run of the mill. Even some of the side characters, the young adult thief, the old man character, that sort of thing. So, if you guys, I think it is an interesting part of anime history. The Ninja Scroll film, that is, the movie or the series seems to be sort of a stretched out version of the film. I'll say this: there is another episode, and spoilers alert, I guess, where Jubei is he's traveling around, sort of. I cannot recall if he's looking for Shigure, because there are numerous times where they are split up and have to find each other for various reasons. I can't remember if he's looking for her or if he is just sort of walking around with the Dragonstone. And he comes to this hotel, and it's raining, and there are other people there, and it's sort of another parasite story wherein this eyeball, which I don't remember if it explains where it comes from, is just sort of leaping from person to person, like the Thing, basically. And Jubei is having to slay all of these people, and at one point there's sort of a twist in the episode where the people, like a daughter or a mother and her son, eventually turn on Jubei for one reason or the other. sorry for being vague, but okay. I'm starting to remember now. It was Jubei had been poisoned, and he had been at this hotel with this mother and her son. And as the episode goes along, the whole parasite trope, happens. That whole device thing happens, and all these people are dying. Once they take care of the parasite, it turns out that the mother realizes who Jubei is, and Jubei had some bad history with their family, and she is determined to kill him. So he's poisoned, and he's weak, and he's not really able to fight all that well, and she's poisoned him, and there's a very interesting little twist at the end of that episode. So listen, guys, go watch the Ninja Scroll series somewhere. It's in it's more likely you'll find it at the library, yard sales, that sort of thing. You can probably find it on the internet. I'm not gonna tell you guys if it's still like actively in print, because I really don't know. But I feel like for people, most of the people who listen to my show aren't really into anime, don't really know. But I would say this would be a good dose of what anime is that just isn't harem comedy like what we see a lot now. It's the 90s, or I would say the early 2000s, not quite sure. So it may look a little dated, but you may also get a little nostalgia feel from it. So the Ninja Scroll series, check it out. I'll have this review up on the website, also blogtalkradio.com/Otakast. I'm DP Willis. When we come back, we are going to get into the box office breakdown. Screen Visions Radio. Back in a second. Box Office Breakdown is brought to you in part by Movies.com and also me, DP Willis. Welcome back. This is Screen Visions Radio. And the top 10, there is about a $25 million difference between number 1 and number 2. Oz the Great and Powerful. It's got $42.2 million right now. Top of the box office. Coming at number 1, Oz the Great and Powerful. You guys go check that movie out. The Call. That's number 2, $17.1 million. The Incredible Burt Wonderstone at number 3 with $10.3 million. Jack the Giant Slayer, number 4 with $6.2. Followed by Identity Thief at $4.5 million. Snitch is at number 6 at $3.5 million. You've got 21 and Over at $2.6 at number 7. Silver Linings Playbook still in the top 10 at number 8 with $2.5 million. Safe Haven has $2.4 million at number 9. And then you've got Escape from Planet Earth. That's the Tom Cruise joint at $2.3 million to round off the top 10. So there's your top 10 box office breakdown for you guys. Also, in theaters coming this Friday, Olympus Has Fallen. Olympus Has Fallen. That one's coming out this Friday. It's rated R along with The Croods. That's PG. Those two are coming out this Friday, guys. Be sure to check those out. Kind of curious to see how well The Croods does. Olympus Has Fallen may, I don't know. Feels like we may have a little bomb going on here. Not sure. We've got G.I. Joe Retaliation coming out March 29th, PG-13, along with The Host, also PG-13, coming out March 29th. We've got Tyler Perry's Temptation and The Place Beyond the Pines. All 4 of those movies coming out March 29th. My money is probably on, I don't know. I feel like The Host may surprise some people in terms of how well it does. Alright, some of the movies you can expect in the future beyond March 29th. You've got Evil Dead dropping on April 5th, rated R. Also, remember guys, they're releasing or re-releasing Jurassic Park in 3D. That is going to happen on April 5th. Real 3D. You've also got 42. That's the Jackie Robinson film. I want to check that one out. That's April 12th. Along with Scary Movie 5. Also April 12th. Man, remember when the first couple of Scary movies came out? I was like, man, this is pretty funny. And then the third one came out. It was like, eh. Then the fourth one, I don't remember when that came out. But anyway, moving on. You've got Oblivion, April 19th, along with Pain and Gain, coming out April 26th. Then you've got The Big Wedding, and The Big Wedding is also coming out, on April 26th, along with Pain and Gain. You've got Iron Man 3 coming out on May the 3rd. So I guess we could officially mark Iron Man 3 as the first sort of the roller coasters that go through the summer into the next fall. So there you go. New on DVD and Blu-ray. Zero Dark 30 is available today. The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey also available today. Pick it up, guys. Les Miserables, dang it, is available on Friday, along with This Is 40. Okay, you've got Rust and Bone available today. Also, Bachelorette. Life of Pi actually came out March 12th, along with Rise of the Guardians. And Cirque du Soleil, Worlds Away. I tried, guys. That came out March 12th, along with Hitchcock. Wreck-It Ralph and Red Dawn hit shows on March 5th. Go pick all those up, guys. This has been the Box Office Breakdown, along with your DVD and Blu-ray news. I'm DP Willis, and when we come back, we are going to wrap up the show. See you guys in a bit. Alright guys, wrapping up the show, gonna have a special song for you guys. I've been watching the Slayers. I'll have some Slayers music for ya at the end of the episode. One song, you're welcome. When we come back next week, I'm not totally sure yet what I'm gonna be reviewing, but I'm gonna be reviewing something, so don't worry about it. I'll have it up on the website, www. Remember guys, it's screenvisions.wordpress.com. Catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good rest of the week. Later.
Screen Visions Radio and Notacast Network affiliate. Games, movies, life. Hey kid, what inspires you?
Lugo
Is it us? Or did online radio just get a bit more cultured? To find out more, log into www.odacastradio.com. odacastradio.com.